잠시 후 EDS 웨비나가 시작될 예정입니다. 음성을 듣기 위해 화면 왼쪽 하단의 인터넷 오디오 연결을 이용하여 주시기 바랍니다. 음성이 안 들리시는 분들은 채팅창을 이용하여 말씀해 주시기 바랍니다. 지금부터 행사를 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 안녕하십니까. EDS 웨비나 행사 진행을 맡은 제이텍솔루션 이혜진입니다. 스카다 시스템스 공인 파트너인 저희 제이텍솔루션이 전기계장 엔지니어링의 실무자 및 전문가 여러분들을 모시게 되었습니다. EDS라는 주제로 금일 개최한 웨비나에서는 전기계장 솔루션 EDS의 특징과 데모 및 활용 방안에 대한 정보를 제공하여 드리고자 합니다. 금일 귀한 시간을 내어 참석하여 주신 고객님들께 유익한 시간이 되도록 알차게 준비하였습니다. 기대해 주시기 바랍니다. 오늘 세션의 순서로는 제이텍솔루션 유강균 대리의 전기계장 엔지니어링 데이터관리 시스템의 소개, 그리고 스카다 시스템스사의 앤드류 본필드의 데모 발표가 있은 후 마지막으로 Q&A 시간을 갖도록 하겠습니다. 첫 번째 순서입니다. 저희 제이텍솔루션 유강균 대리의 전기계장 엔지니어링 데이터관리 시스템의 소개가 있겠습니다.
네, 안녕하세요. 저는 제이텍솔루션에서 근무하고 있는 유광균 대리입니다. 만나서 반갑습니다. 바쁜 업무 일과 중에서도 시간 내주시어 웹세미나에 참석하여 주신 여러분께 감사 말씀드립니다. 저희가 소개해드릴 제품은 뉴질랜드 스카다 시스템사의 일렉데스 디자인 슈트 제품입니다. 지금부터 10분 동안 일렉데스 디자인 슈트 제품에 대해 소개해드리는 자리를 갖도록 하겠습니다. 일렉데스 디자인 슈트는 세계 50개국 이상에서 사용되고 있는 전기, 계측, 설계 및 캐드 엔지니어링 툴입니다. 뉴질랜드 스카다사 제품이며 1985년 설립되었으며 일렉트리컬 디자인에 대한 자동화의 필요성을 인식하고 인스트루멘테이션, 패널, 일렉트리컬 캐드 디자인 소프트웨어를 포함하는 일렉데스 디자인 슈트를 출시했습니다. 일렉트리컬 컨셉에 대한 강력한 설계 지원 도구이며 엔지니어 분들에게 다양한 설계 라이브러리를 통해 전기 설계 효율성을 높여주며 보다 창의적으로 생각하고 설계할 수 있는 환경을 조성해 드립니다. EDS 소프트웨어는 데이터 집중 방식을 사용하고 사용자에게는 반복적인 작업들을 최대한 줄여주며 다음과 같은 특징을 제공해 줍니다. 일렉트리컬 캐드 구성 요소에 대한 편집 기능을 제공해 드리며 향상된 리포트 기능, 그리고 인스트루먼트 관리 기능 등이 특장점을 제공합니다. 또한 EDS는 유저분들과 항상 상호작용하며 기술적 요청이 있을 경우 기능 수정 및 업데이트를 통해 보다 완성도 있는 제품을 만들어가고 있습니다. 또한 오토데스크 플랜트 디자인 슈트 제품과 통합할 수 있습니다. 지금부터 스카다 일렉데스 디자인 슈트 제품에 대해 알아보도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 인스트루먼트 매니저에 대해 설명드리겠습니다. 인스트루먼트 매니저는 계장 또는 제어 시스템 설계 엔지니어 분들의 사용을 위해서 개발된 장비 설계 및 문서화 시스템입니다. 사용하기가 쉽고 직관적인 방법으로 계장 영역에서 요구하는 산출물을 자동으로 생성합니다. 인스트루먼트 매니저는 루프 다이어그램, 후크업 다이어그램, 배선 터미널 스트립 다이어그램뿐만 아니라 부가적인 보고서, 장비 데이터 시트, 장비 인덱스 보고서, 재료 명세서 보고서, 케이블 스케줄 보고서, I/O 목록, 커넥션 보고서 등을 생성합니다. 인스트루먼트 매니저는 또한 오토캐드 P&ID로 통합 가능합니다. 오토캐드 P&ID와 인스트루먼트 매니저는 데이터베이스 연결을 허용하기 때문에 쉽게 연결될 수 있습니다. 예를 들어 오토캐드 P&ID 정보가 변경된다면 자동으로 인스트루먼트 매니저 장비 데이터베이스는 자동으로 업데이트 될 것입니다. 또한 인스트루먼트 매니저 케이블 목록 및 자료 목록으로부터의 산출물은 패널데스 3D 케이블 라우팅 모델링과 완전히 통합될 수 있습니다. 그 결과 케이블 길이와 케이블 트레이 용량이 자동으로 계산되어지며 3D 오토캐드 플랜트 모델과 통합될 수 있습니다. 인스트루먼트 매니저는 구성 요소 및 전기장치 연결을 위하여 익숙한 마우스 조작인 드래그 앤 드롭 방식을 사용하며 복사 및 붙여넣기, 검색 및 대체하기 등 사용자 친화적인 조작 인터페이스를 사용할 수 있습니다. 데이터베이스 옵션은 MX 액세스와 SQL 서버를 모두 포함합니다. 애플리케이션 기반을 둔 다른 SQL로의 연결은 제한이 없으며 언제라도 가능합니다. 인스트루먼트 매니저는 계장 솔루션 중 사용하기 쉬우면서도 가성비가 높은 강력한 대안이 될 수 있습니다. 인스트루먼트 매니저 제품을 사용하여 얻을 수 있는 산출물은 다음과 같습니다. 루프 다이어그램, 데이터 시트, 장비 인덱스, I/O 목록, BOM, 배선 다이어그램, 훅워크 다이어그램, 케이블 스케줄을 생성할 수 있습니다. 다음은 일렉데스 제품에 대해 설명드리겠습니다. 일렉데스는 일렉데스 디자인 슈윗 제품 중에서 주력 상품이며 스케매틱 다이어그램, 와이어링 다이어그램, 루프 다이어그램, 패널 레이아웃 다이어그램을 위하여 보완되었습니다. 즉, 일렉데스 2D 전기 계장도를 생성하는 강력한 툴이며 캐드와 데이터베이스 시스템에 사용되는 종합적인 라이브러리와 강력한 기능으로 구성됩니다. 데이터베이스 정보를 이용한 도면 자동 생성은 과거의 도면 생성 방법을 뛰어넘어 드로잉의 정확성, 품질 관리, 그리고 수정 사항에 대한 관리 측면에서 장점을 가지고 프로젝트의 품질을 높이고 있습니다. 또한 제품 가격이 합리적이기 때문에 많은 고객분들이 만족할 만한 서비스를 제공하고 있습니다. 진보된 자동화 리포트 생성 기능으로 BOM, 케이블 스케줄, 와이어링 리스트 리포트를 산출할 수 있습니다. 일렉데스 제품의 자동화 기능은 터미널 스트립, 배선도, 커넥션 리포트를 생성할 수 있으며 전기 솔루션 시장에서 가장 정교한 프로그램입니다. 결과적으로 설계자에게는 반복되는 업무를 자동화 기능을 통해서 줄어들게 하며 태그 네임 중복 검사를 통해 인건비 절약 효과를 얻을 수 있습니다. 추가적인 유틸리티, 프로토젠, 이베이스, 데이터베이스 에디터, 케이블 스케줄러, 그리고 배지 프린터는 일렉데스 디자인 슈트과 함께 제공되어 기능을 향상시킵니다. 다음은 EDS 주요 소프트웨어 중 하나인 패널데스에 대해 설명해 드리겠습니다. 패널데스는 전기캐드 소프트웨어 중 하나로 플랜트 레이스웨이 시스템과 3D 와이어링 루팅 설계, 그리고 와이어 디벨롭먼트를 위해 전기 플랜트 설계자와 기술자가 사용하는 강력한 엔지니어링 툴입니다. 위 제품은 오토캐드 플랫폼에서 작동하고 플랜트 3D에서 사용할 수 있습니다. EDS의 전기 및 계장 모듈이 통합되면서 패널데스는 3D 전기 장치를 연결하고 모형을 만들기 위해 케이블 및 재료 목록에서 데이터를 사용하게 됩니다. 케이블 길이 및 케이블 트레이 용량 비율을 자동으로 계산해주며 케이블 전원 분리 및 부핀 반지름과 같은 요소들을 고려하여 루트 최적화 도구를 제공합니다. 또한 덕트뱅크, 레이스웨이, 케이블 트레이를 3D 전기 시스템을 사용해서 생성할 수 있습니다. 패널데스는 라우팅 및 단면 보고서를 생산하고 케이블 낭비를 최적으로 줄이면서 케이블을 절단 및 접합해야 할 곳을 알려주고 드러밍 보고서 또한 생성 가능하게 합니다. 본 소프트웨어는 특히 전력 플랜트와 같은 대형 프로젝트 설계에 있어서 비용 절약 효과를 달성할 수 있습니다. 일반적으로 프로젝트 수행 시 케이블 설치 비용은 라우팅 케이블의 경우 정확하게 측정이 불가능하기 때문에 최대 30%까지 과대 또는 과소평가되어 산출되는 경우가 많습니다. 그러므로 간섭 검토는 많은 경우 예측에 의해서만 진행되고 있는 경우가 많고, 그렇기 때문에 프로젝트 비효율성을 야기시키기도 합니다. 프로젝트의 크기 정도에 따라 패널데스는 설치 및 재료 비용에 대해서 비용 절감을 이룰 수 있도록 도와드리겠습니다. 패널데스 제품을 사용한 아웃풋은 다음과 같습니다. 길이 계산, 용량 분석, 케이블 경로 목록, 단면 보고서, 드러밍 보고서, 발행 케이블 보고서, 애플 카드 BOM을 구성할 수 있습니다. 지금까지 스카다 시스템사의 일렉데스 디자인 슈트의 주요 제품인 인스트루먼트 매니저 패널데스, 일렉데스에 대한 소개를 해드렸습니다. 일렉데스 전기 설계 제품은 개발 14주년이 되었으며 현재 유럽, 미주, 중동 및 환태평양 지역에서 많은 사용자를 확보하고 있습니다. 1993년 일렉데스는 오토데스크 올해의 개발자상을 받았으며 전기 계정에 대한 기술 형성을 통해 이룰 수 있었습니다. 전계장 분야에서 전문성을 가지고 있는 스카다 시스템은 주 고객인 전기 또는 계장, 설계자, 기술자를 염두에 두고 엔지니어링 설계 문제를 위해 명백하고 신선한 솔루션을 제공해 드리도록 하겠습니다. 지금까지 경청해 주셔서 감사합니다. 이것으로 스카다 시스템 일렉데스 디자인 슈트에 관한 소개를 마치도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
네, 이어서 스카다 시스템스사의 앤드류 본필드께서 회사 소개, 주요 클라이언트 및 오토캐드 기반의 전기 계장 엔지니어링 데이터 관리 시스템의 데모를 발표하여 주시겠습니다. 이번 세션은 뉴질랜드사가 현지에서 영어로 진행되므로 발표 자료, 영상 시연을 참고하여 이해에 도움이 되시길 바랍니다. 세션 중간에 질문이 있을 경우 영어 또는 한글로 채팅창에 올려주시면 세션 마지막 Q&A 시간에 답하여 드리겠습니다. Now I will introduce Andy Bonfield of SCADA Systems Incorporated. Andy, we'll get started for demo.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. And Shoin Hashim, hello everybody. Okay. Okay, one moment. Okay, thank you everybody for watching this webinar today. Just by way of introduction, our company is SCADA Systems in New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand. We are the software developers. We have been developing the Electors design suite since 1989. It's used in over 50 countries, different languages. So it's a worldwide tool that's been on the market for many years. We have all types of clients. Some big names like Honeywell, Siemens, Alstom, lots of engineering companies, EPC companies, as well as end users. And these are companies who are all around the world, so these are just some examples. As you have heard, we have 3 different products we will look at today. The Instrument Manager, this is a SQL database. We have our Electors program, which is our electrical CAD tool for generating electrical diagrams. And as you have heard, we have our 3D AutoCAD-based model for doing our 3D layouts and cable routing. So all the products will run with AutoCAD. We run with AutoCAD 2000 up to 2016, and next week, or I think we have 2017 as well. So those are our 3 products we will look at today. I thought it would also be useful just to show you some workflow between our products and some of the Autodesk products. So with the PNID database, these databases will talk to each other. We can get information from the AutoCAD PNID. And from here, we can generate reports, index, IO list, cable schedule, as you have just heard. On the drawing side, we've got our loops, IO cards, hookups, etc. We've got Excel data sheets. And then, of course, with the Plant 3D program, we will run that with our panel list program. So that's going to take our equipment lists and cable lists from both ElecDes and Instrument Manager, and we're going to use those for our 3D modeling, and we will automatically route some cables, do some calculations, generate some reports. So they're the three parts of our suite that we will be covering today. Okay, let me come out of here. Let's go. Okay, to start with, we are going to look at our Instrument Manager program. Okay, with Instrument Manager, this is the interface we see to a database which runs with either Access or SQL Server. We have a Windows Explorer type tree, and in here you can see different component types, including our instruments. We have a different type of table or folder for each instrument. The idea is that we will run with templates for data sheets, hookup or detailed installation drawings, and loops as well. How we generate, how we create items is we can add items and we can link these to catalogs. So for example, if we want to pick a pressure transmitter from Rosemount, we can pick from a catalog. And as we pick these, we can, let's go and create 4 of these. We can add a data sheet, we can add a hookup diagram, we can add a loop if we wish. So that's one way that we can create items. However, we can also create by linking to AutoCAD P&ID. For those who are familiar with AutoCAD P&ID, this is just a sample project. And what we can do here, of course, is we can add some instrument. And as you may know, this will write information directly to a SQL file. Okay, so let's put in a loop number and assign that there. As you know, we can look at this information inside our database. So there's our instrument here. We can save that as well. Okay, if we now go back to Instrument Manager, I am going to link to that database. We can also import from Excel or from Access if you wish, but I want to link to the P&ID database. So here's our P&ID database. We provide some mapping files. This will automatically bring in the information into the correct tables. And as I pull that information across, we can see down here we have our pressure transmitter added. The way that the program is set up, we are also bringing across some line information from the P&ID. We have some tank information here. We have pumps, heat exchangers, hand valves, and we have instruments as well. Okay, so these are all come from the P&ID database. With the system, we can look at any information. We can pick any information out of the P&ID. All this information is accessible from the program. We can also make a live link. So first of all, we import, and then we can enable synchronization. These buttons can be turned on and off. If the process or mechanical people are working, we may not want to see all of the changes happening, so you can make this a live link. And we'll show you that in just a moment. Once you have the instruments inside the database, we can then start to generate some output. So here, for example, we can add some information to our ratings table. Inside our edit view, if we look in here, this is where you can add different information. Okay, so we can add information here, and this will be output onto a data sheet. To create the data sheets, it's very simple. We can go down to our output diagrams here. So we have generated some data sheets automatically. We have generated some hookup or detailed installation drawings automatically. We'll take a look at those in just a moment. However, we can also grab these instruments and we can create new data sheets. We can create hookup drawings. And from here, we can just generate these diagrams. And that has now generated 9 data sheets. If we take a look, let's go into our edit view. And this is opening up our Excel file. In here, you see how we changed our bolts. It's taken information from the drawing. Let me make that a little bit easier to see. Okay, so we've got our tag name. We have some pressure information, a manufacturer model number. Now, this information you can also change inside of the Excel. Okay, if we want to make a change here, okay, we can change this information like so. Let's change that again to be 8. We change the information, we can save the data sheet, and it will import data back to the data sheet. And from here, we can navigate back to our master record. And again, we go into our ratings. And we can see that information has all updated. Okay, so it's a two-way link, bi-directional link between the two, between Excel and the database. Okay, with these, by the way, are all from templates. These can all be, the templates are down here. These can all be replaced by customer templates. We also can generate some hookup diagrams, and we can generate diagrams the same way, 9 hookup diagrams. If you prefer, though, we can also have multiple instruments on the same drawing. So we would change the name, put in it, edit the title block, and if we now generate this diagram, this has created our hookup diagram in AutoCAD. Here are our tag names. This information here as well is editable. This will be fed into a bill of materials. So in here we have a global editor. So this is telling me we have 1 manifold, connectors, tube tees, etc. And we can go into a catalog and we can replace this information. So let's say it's a different type of item. We change it. Oh, I've got that already. We can, let's pick something different. A mounting bracket. We can save the changes, exit, and that changes are written back to the drawing, like so. This information is now added to the database reports, okay, for our bill of materials. Again, all of these, this is a simple AutoCAD drawing. You can take any drawing and link it back to the database. Okay. The other thing we can do, just to go back to the P&ID, once we are back in the drawing here, let's just come back into my, oh, 1 second. So if I come back into my data manager here, and if I want to, sorry, let's go back into data manager, and let's go find my item here. Let's make a change to our pressure transmitter. Okay, I want to change that tag number. I save the drawing. And if we now go back into our pressure transmitter, we can see that that has updated already. That's because we have a synchronized link. Okay, so the tag name will change. You also see that the data sheet is updated, the hookup is updated. So information will pass from one to another and will update automatically. Okay, so there is our link to our P&IDs. Once we have generated our data sheets, our hookup diagrams, we can also make some wiring connections. So a couple of ways we can do this. Actually, before just one last thing on the data sheets. When we do our link to the P&IDs, we're also bringing not only line information, but we can pick out the connection, association between the two. We can see that this control valve is part of this line. For the data sheets, you can also pick out information from the P&ID database. If you want the line number, the line size, the line spec, that can be linked to your data sheet as well. So you can retrieve information from the P&ID project. Okay, once you have your instruments, of course, if you wish, you can also add PLC information. Okay, so we can add rack and slot information. You can put descriptions in here. We can build up a card. In this case, it's a Allen Bradley card. We have other examples here from our catalogs. These catalogs, by the way, can be created yourselves. And this card is split into different channels. So with this, you can also make your I/O assignments. Okay, so if I want to assign to a channel, I can create a link. So when we create these links, this information is captured in our reports. We have a link from instrument to channel. Okay, we can also add other information. Let's add here, for example, we can add an enclosure. Again, we can link to a catalog if we want. So a lot of this information is, we have this in metric, we have this in imperial, we have done a lot of work in the United States and Canada. We have a close relationship to Autodesk over there. So many customers in the US and North America, they use this software for their own, for running with the plant design suite. Okay, so we can create a junction box here. Inside the junction box, we would add a terminal strip. Okay, so we can add that, and one. Again, if you know this information, you can link to catalogs. Okay, so let me just pick a feed-through terminal. And here, 48 terminals. And we can create a wiring diagram once we have made our connections. From here, we are going to parent it inside our junction box here, like so. And we can see inside our junction box, there's our terminal strip with all of our connections. Before we make our connections, one further thing to show you, and that is that we can create here a cable, or you can create multiple cables. But let's add a new cable here. Again, we can go into our catalogs, and this time I'm going to pick a catalog 8 pair, 8 shield, overall shield, and we're going to pick that. And when we pick our catalogs here, we see it's broken down into pairs. So all of our individual wires are created here. Okay, let's now look in our connection view. So this is how we connect our items together. If we go and look in our pressure transmitters here, there is there is a pressure transmitter which we have created before with its cable. In the middle we have conductors, panel wires or cables, and there is our instrument cable. You can look at the individual conductors and we can see how each wire is connected. So with our junction box terminal strip here, we can also see that this is 48 terminals with no connections. And to make a connection, it's very easy. It's a drag and drop process. So we can take each cable in turn and drag that onto the terminal strip. Now we see how the cable is fully connected. With our terminal strip, we can see how this is connected. With our instrument, we can see from the field instrument cable to our junction box. If we take our new cable, we can see it's not yet been connected. And so let's do the same thing. Let's take the cable and we can drag it onto the terminal strip, like so. So that is now fully connected. And let's take the other side and we will find our PLC cabinet. And there's a terminal strip here. And again, we can connect and close that. So now our terminal strip, instrument cables to the left, multi-conductor cable to the right. Okay, and if we go back to our instrument, we can see how these are looking in terms of their connections. So now we're going through a multi-conductor cable to our PLC. So this is how we do our connections. So these are some we have done before. And once we have made our connections, you can check the signals, make sure that this is connected correctly. And once you are happy with the connections, we can output our drawings. Now, this is a simple loop we're looking at here, but you can also create more complicated loops. You can do PLC cards, for example. You can do motor starters. Let me show you here how we do our instrument connection. This again just depends on your template. You can take any existing AutoCAD drawing and make it into a template. So these all look the same. These are simple loops. So the information has been transferred from the drawing, from the database onto the drawing. Okay, so all of our drawings look the same, but the cable pairs change, the instruments change, the terminal numbers change in each case. Let's find a second example. It looks the same, but different instrument, different terminal numbers, different wire. All that information changes based on how we made our connections. Just to show you as well, we can have more complex drawings. This has come from Instrument Manager. And we can have things like our motor circuits. So again, these are all based on templates. Okay, so all the information is populated from the database. Okay, just to finish up on Instrument Manager, we have two more things to show you. One is our wiring diagrams. Okay, so let's have a look at a example here. This is a wiring diagram, so this is going to capture all of our connections. Where are we? Excuse me. Okay. Okay, so this was capturing all of the wiring connections, and we can create a wiring diagram. There are different options here, but this is out of the box. So this has taken all of the connection information, our instrument cables on the right-hand side, and here is all of our other multi-conductor cable on the left-hand side. You can change the appearance, you can change which side the cables appear on, but this is a live extraction of that connection information, and you can do this for every device, terminal, or instrument in the project. Finally, let's run some reports. We have different types of reports that we can generate. First of all, you can generate EDS reports. Now, this is something that's shared with our Electors program. And this is unformatted reports. They can be opened in Access, in Excel, or they can be put into SAP or any of your other systems. But these reports include things like bill of materials. So this will include all of your I/O cards, your valves, your transmitters, motors, enclosures, etc. So these can be opened in Excel if you prefer. We've also got, it'll also pick up your hookup information from your hookup diagrams. Cable schedule. It will give me all of my cables here. It will give me all of the information from my catalogs. It will give me my from-to information to terminals and to devices as well. Here, for example, is the cable we added before to JB4. You can get more detailed information. You've got your core schedule, and this will give you each individual terminal number and each individual wire. This information can be exported to text. It can be fed into a labeling machine. So these reports, there's other reports as well, which are all automatically generated. You can configure your own database reports as well in Excel, or Access. So these are example reports for I/O list, card list, instrument index, etc. And these can, wrong report. You can also generate these in, as I say, into Access. So let me just, the database report. So you can pick Access or Excel. and generate them from here. So again, these are live generated in Excel or in Access. We'll have a very quick look at an Excel report. Okay, so this is just a card list. There's a new card that we added. Again, you can add your own titles. You can make these into deliverables. We've got things like our IO list here. Okay, and you can pick out your different piece of information. So the key thing here is that everything is extractable. You can customize these reports as you wish. Okay, that's pretty much the instrument manager. So the points really are that you link to you can link to P&ID. You've got the ability to customize everything, and you can generate all of your reports and typical outputs. Okay, so that's part one. I am just going to close down a couple of things here, and let me just close down my different items here, and we will now look at our electives program. Okay, so with electives, this would not spend so much time on this, but this is we looked at a little bit of the output. Electives is our AutoCAD-based drawing tool. Probably the thing to notice here is project. This is how we can add different drawings to projects. And let's just have a look at a couple of outputs very quickly. So inside a project, you can add different drawings. Now this is more often used for things like panel drawings and panel layouts, so you can do your control schematics, etc. I'm not going to spend too long on this, but before we even open the CAD drawing, notice here, Global Editor. We can read out everything from those drawings. So in our Global Editor, it's listing for me all of my different devices. So say this is some MCC panel layouts. We've got some different lamps and contacts, etc., push buttons. From here as well, you can add terminals, terminal blocks, and again, these can all be linked to catalogs. You can have panel wiring as well. So with all of this information, the other takeout is I can actually change things like my tag names. I can change my catalogs without even going into the CAD drawing. So once you've created it, you can change everything without going into the drawing. So this is very good for the engineers. Okay, once we're in here, we can actually compile reports again. Okay, and I'll just very quickly show you a couple of electives drawings here. With all of our products, as I say, you run with any standard AutoCAD version from year 2000 up to 2016. We just add ribbons and menus and toolbars. In this project here, let me just go into my demo session here. And what I can see in here, sorry, wrong project. What I can see in my scheme here. Okay, so I can open a couple of drawings here. So you can add your schematics. We have symbol libraries for creating your drawings. And as I say, you can, again, without doing into the drawing tools, you're able to just see all this information, which all that information is behind the drawings. It's included, embedded in the blocks. So in this case here, we have some schematics here. We have okay, a control circuit here. And as I say, we have the ability to add different symbols. These all come with the program, okay, and then you can just link to catalogs. The other thing that I want to show you very quickly is once you have this created, you can do things like inside Electors, once you've run your different reports, I can go in here and I can do my panel layouts. So for example, for a terminal strip, my bill of materials is loaded into my project, and I can load up a terminal strip, for example. Let's see all the terminals I've got in my drawings. And then from here, I can go and do some construction. Place my terminal strip. So you've got the ability to add different items and link those to your layout drawings. That's if you get involved in panels. Okay, I'm going to close those down. I'd say this is just a very quick look at our Electors program. Because we can link into databases, again, you have different options for templates. So we have a system called Protogen. And in our Protogen system, this again makes use of the templating. Once you have created your drawings, let me come and show you. You can make these into templates. So when we make them into templates, we are again linking them to an Excel file. In this case here, let's go into my Protogen, and in here, if I'm going to my Metro here, so to make a template, in this case here, I'm going to generate some IO card layouts. So with these templates, you effectively, like a mail merge, we have some placeholders. This information gets replaced by information from a database. Okay, so in this case here, we're going to be putting in title block information. We can link to another sub-database. So for our channels, we're going to be putting in some additional drawings. We're going to be adding, let's see here, this is like our circuits, our subloops, our sub-circuits, and all this information gets replaced by what we have in our Protogen file here. So you can input your information, and this will automatically generate all of our drawings. Let me show you again, let me show you how this works. So based on those templates, we go back to our master database. Let me pick, say, 27 drawings here. And we are going to save this to our project file. So based on these templates, we just generate these drawings. So the information comes from the database. It feeds into those template drawings. And we have very quickly created some templates here, some outputs. Okay, let's just have a look at a couple of outputs. So here is our output file, and there are all of our drawings. So that information has been transferred from the drawing to the database. Sorry, from the database to the drawing. So we have 20 drawings like this. Okay, we have different ones for analogs, for digital, for inputs, for outputs. But in each case, the information is fed from the database. Okay, so that's something else that you can use with Electors. You can also generate all of your normal reports that we saw in Instrument Manager. You can also generate things like your wiring diagrams. These are all part of Electors as well. Okay, I just want to, so that's just a very quick look at Electors. Really what I want to do though is to move on already onto our panel des side of it. Actually, one more thing very quickly to show you in Electors. You can also, and this fits in with panel des as well, you can also create block diagrams. Okay, now what I mean by that is, let's just have a final look at Electors. And this is just a cable block diagram. And if I go into my demo here, okay, so if ever you just create a block diagram, which is showing a link between, it's like an interconnection. But again, with the system, all of this information is smart. Okay, so we've got our devices again. We've got our cables, which have come from our catalogs. So if I just come back into my Electors design suite, into eBase here, and compile my reports, this information can also feed into our cable scheduler. So this is taking that output information. There's our devices from the drawing, our enclosures from the drawing. We've also though got our cables. So all of the information from our catalog, this has populated the database already. You can also do your from and to information. So from a certain panel to a panel. So that's all come from just that block diagram. Now from here, you can add your terminal strips as we've done before, but this interface can also be used with our cable routing. And you can add raceway segments and add routes. And you can actually use this as a model-less cable routing interface. But that's something we can revisit. Okay. Let's have a look at the final part of our suite, panel des, the cable tray and cable routing. Again, in the first place, let us create our project. So this is the same instrument manager program we looked at before, where we generated some cable schedules and equipment lists. Okay, so once we have this running, we need to generate some reports, and these are the same reports that we looked at earlier. So if I go into my database editor, and I will open, again, just a reminder, we have our equipment list here with all of our instruments and motors, etc. We also have our cable schedule. So this is what we are going to use for generating our length calculations. We are going to be able to see that this cable runs from PLC cabinet to junction box 1. When we do our routing, we're going to calculate a length of cable. Okay. Let me close that down in Electors. All right, let me close this as well, sorry. Okay, in panel des, let's fire this up. So with panel des, this is our 3D program. Now, with mostly in the electrical world, the way that you would use this program would start off with other engineering disciplines, civil, structural, steel, piping. They would typically be the first of the be used in the first place to do the modeling. This project that we are looking at here, this was created with Plant 3D. Okay, so we have our piping rack, we have our tanks, etc. Okay, so this has been initially created with Plant 3D. And we would XREF these drawings into our panel des program. I'm going to move back to 2D wireframe. It makes it easier to navigate, move around. So we would initially, look at adding in our XREFs into one master drawing. And from there, we can do our scaling, we can do our placement of equipment, we can do collision checking. Before we do that, however, let me move that away and show you some of the tools. So inside of panel layers, again, we can load up our bill of materials, and this lists all of our items. There's that junction box we added to our instrument manager project. Now what I can do is I can either have a 3D block to represent my junction box, or I can build that on dimensions. So if we do that, what I do here is if I drop my junction box, and that's just going to build my my panel for me. So let me do that again over here. And let's just take a quick look if I zoom right in. So it's a simple representation of our junction box based on dimensions. You have label information here, and you can have all of the properties of the junction box included in here. This makes it readable by things such as Navisworks if you use that tool. You can also add your devices, and that could be again from our list here, and these can be again based on dimensions or based on a 3D block. So here's a sample motor. If we want to place that on our model, like so. Okay, so that's our basic construction tools. However, if you prefer on the construction side, you can also place items from a list. This is taken from another project entirely. This is something from a substation control room. The reason I'm showing you this is to say that once you have created your bill of materials, you can add coordinates to your list, to your Excel file. If you put in your XYZ coordinates, you can automatically place your items on the file. This is just building, it's building a number of cabinets, enclosures, plus some cable tray, but it's all working from a list. So if I now zoom in a little bit, and again, if we just take a closer look here. So by placing one enclosure here, everything was placed in relation to that, including our cable tray. So you can place items individually, you can place items from a list. Okay, we don't need that any longer. Okay, let's get rid of that. Okay, so back to what we were doing here. In terms of placing our tray, our cable tray, we have tray, trenching, conduit, and we have different shapes: straight, reducers, corners, risers, T's, X's. These again can be linked into a catalog. Okay, and to place these, we can simply construct, and these are all, we can just use this for construction. If I zoom in a little bit, these will just automatically snap to the existing tray here. Okay, maybe we put in a corner piece. So this is a very easy tool to use in terms of adding information. So let's put another corner. And you can change end, it just snaps to the end like so. For each of these pieces that we're adding a tag name. These will automatically work out a tag name. Okay, so we can just add information like so. So that's one way that you can add your raceway. Another method is to do this, is to just draw a 3D polyline. Okay, so by adding our 3D polyline, we can just draw around like so. And again, in our construction tools, let's use this same type here, and we trace a polyline. And that will build our tray around a polyline. Now, the idea here is it makes it easier when you get into more complex parts of the plant. But there's our straight piece of tray, and there's our riser, so it will recognize each piece of tray. What you can also do is, again, from our construction menu here, we can place components from a list. Here's an example of some trench with multiple trays in there. So again, this is from a macro. Okay, so you can create these macros yourself. And let's have a look here. If we zoom in. So this is extendable. You've got 2 layers of tray inside your trench. We've got some wall brackets every so often. So again, your brackets and things, they can be picked from the from our catalogs. If you want to create one of these, maybe it's for some duct bank or something like that, we can simply go back into our list here, and you can create these yourselves. So we can actually create something like this here. We can save from the CAD file, like so. So once we've created a macro to a library, we can actually go and draw that. And that will then just draw that on the file. So for more complex things like your duct bank, we can do that. We do have tools like a duct bank editor for doing trenching and duct bank. But look, we're just running a little bit out of time. And what I'd like to do is to return here to our plant model. So once you have placed all of the equipment onto the model, typically we would go back and remove the XREFs, because we don't need to view those any longer. So let me just unload those. Everything now left on the model is paneled as entities. So we have our MCC panel here, we have local control panel, we have some motor boxes, we have some valves and instruments. So these are all created with panel heads. Now, what we now do is go into our cable manager, and we can update our reports. There are certain parameters and settings you can make, but we're now auto routing all of our cables. And if we look in here, this is the same cables that we saw before. We've now routed these through the model. Okay, and what we can do here is we can pick out some of our cables, and I'll pick out some of these slightly longer ones, and we can actually draw these onto the model. Okay, so these are now being drawn on the model. So as an engineer, you can view the routes that they have taken. And I can query this. I can query my model. I can see my different conductors here. And I can see the properties of the cable. I can display the route of the cable, and that shows me every every piece of tray or conduit that it goes through. And I can query each piece of tray. I can see the fill percentage. I can see the name of the tray. And I can just run through here and I can look at each piece in turn, make sure it's sensible route that the program has taken. Once I've done that, I can cancel, clear the routes. I'm going to go back into my dialog here. And I can change the status. So I can lock those to the route, like so, to change the status. I can issue for construction, or I could have them pulled. But now that we've done that, let's just have a very quick look at our reports just to wrap things up. So with our reports, again, these are all available in Access, but these are just the dumped reports, and we just issued those cables. So this is our issued cables report. They are the 3 cables we just issued. So we also have in our reporting, sorry, my second monitor is over here. So this is that same report we saw before, but this time, of course, we have the estimated length added in each case. We have our cable route list, and this takes each cable and it gives us each tray or conduit that the cable runs through. Okay, so this can be issued in conjunction with your construction drawings. We have a cross-section report, and this will give us this will tell us how full each piece of tray is. Okay, it will also give us the cables that run through that piece of tray or conduit. Okay, so it does that calculation for you as well. You can also do a drumming report or a cable reel report. This will tell you how best to cut your cable from the drum, okay, to minimize the wastage. We also have reports such as your issued cables, your locked routes. There are also tools for adding waypoints, for manually routing your cables, etc. This information as well can all be, you can use the cable scheduler as an interface for this as well. Final thing here is, you can add additional information, adding additional lengths. There are certain tolerances you can do here. But that is, in brief, our panelized raceway. That is the 3 parts of our Electors design suite: Instrument Manager, Electors, and panelized raceway. I hope I've given you a good overview of that, but I'd now like to pass things back. That's pretty much all we have time for. So thanks very much, and perhaps we'll have some questions. But back to you.
Thank you for your presentation for demo, Andy. 네, 앤드류 본필드 씨의 발표를 마치겠습니다. 지금부터 Q&A 시간을 갖도록 하겠습니다. 질문을 해주시면 화면으로 시연하면서 진행하도록 하겠습니다. 질문이 없는 경우 저희가 준비한 FAQ에 대해 함께 알아보는 시간을 갖도록 하겠습니다. 저희가 준비한 FAQ에 대해 먼저 알아보겠습니다. 혹시 질문이 있으신 분은 채팅창에 올려주시면 저희가 답변해 드리도록 하겠습니다. Andy, can you hear my voice?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes. Now we'll have the prepared FAQ time. Yes, first question. 먼저 첫 번째 질문입니다. IM은 자동으로 P&ID, 인스트루먼트 매니저는 자동으로 P&ID 프로젝트에 연결되는지요? Andy, first question. Does instrument manager automatically link to a P&ID project?
Yes, yes, it does. With Instrument Manager, we have a map file system. So the map file will automatically link to the P&ID project. However, if you customize the P&ID project, you can also customize the map file to add new tables and new columns, but it's very easy to make that link.
네, 감사합니다.
네, 앤디가 말씀하신 답변을 드리도록 하겠습니다. 인스트루먼트 매니저는 자동으로 프로젝트를 P&ID 프로젝트로 즉시 연결시키는 맵 파일을 가지고 있다고 합니다. 즉, 만약 P&ID 프로젝트를 사용자정할 경우 맵 파일 또한 커스터마이징 할 수 있다고 합니다.
네, 감사합니다. 두 번째 질문입니다. IM에서 인스트루먼트 매니저에서 회사에서 이미 가지고 있는 데이터 시트, 엑셀을 사용할 수 있는지 궁금합니다. And the second question, can I use my company's data sheets in Instrument Manager?
Yes, again, there is a Instrument Manager. We expect our customers to have their own data sheets, drawings, and reports. And Instrument Manager provides a tool that makes it easy to link, say, a cell in Excel with a column in the Instrument Manager database table. So we expect, yes, it's easy to do and easy to customize, and what we expect.
네, 답변 드리도록 하겠습니다. 인스트루먼트 매니저는 엑셀에서 사용할 수 있습니다. 엑셀의 셀과 인스트루먼트 매니저 데이터베이스 테이블이 열 사이에서 링크를 통해서 저희는 원하는 데이터를 사용할 수 있고 연결할 수 있다고 합니다. 이 과정이 너무나 단순하기 때문에 쉽게 커스터마이징 할 수 있다고 합니다.
네, 감사합니다. 세 번째 질문입니다. 서로 다른 공급업체의 카탈로그를 추가할 수 있나요? And the third question, is it possible to add different supplier catalogs?
Oh, yes, of course. With the software, we include many catalogs, but it's impossible to provide every single supplier, every single part for distribution with electors. However, the catalog file, the format is very simple. It's rows and columns like Excel. So simple to add new records or copy and paste, and you can link those catalogs with the software.
네, 답변 드리도록 하겠습니다. EDS 소프트웨어는 다양한 카탈로그를 제공하기 때문에 다른 공급업체 카탈로그를 추가할 수 있다고 합니다. 하지만 모든 파트에 대해서 공급업체 또는 제조업체에 대한 카탈로그를 모두 변경하는 것은 추가하는 것은 어렵고요. 그러나 카탈로그 파일 형식은 간단한 행과 열로 구성되어 있으므로 새로운 레코드 및 공급업체의 카탈로그를 EDS 시스템 안으로 추가 또는 복사, 붙여넣기는 가능하다고 합니다. 자연적으로 가능하다고 할 수 있습니다.
네, 감사합니다. 네 번째 질문입니다. 보고서는 변경될 수 있는지요? And the first question, can the report be changed?
Yes. As you may have seen, we use a lot of templates with the system. So our reports are based on templates built into the software, but these are just examples. So Electa's design suite has very open structure, so it means it's easy to modify reports with different columns. So you can output reports to DBF or to Excel or to Access. So yes, easy to change.
네, 앤디 답변 드리겠습니다. 일렉테스 디자인 쉿은 기본적으로 오픈 시스템입니다. 즉 개방 시스템을 사용하기 때문에 모든 기존의 보고서를 수정하는 것은 쉽다고 할 수 있습니다. 그리고 모든 보고서는 기본적으로 템플릿을 가지고 있기 때문에 디폴트로 템플릿을 가지고 있어서 수정 또는 모디파이를 거쳐서 쉽게 보고서를 만들 수 있습니다. 보고서의 형식 자체는 DBF와 엑셀 또는 액세스 형식으로 산출될 수 있습니다.
네, 감사합니다. 다음 질문입니다. 일렉트릭스 디자인 수입 EDS의 시스템 요구사항은 무엇인가요? And the next question, what are the system requirements for EDS?
Yeah, good question. Look, as you will have seen, we have been developing the software for over 25 years. So for AutoCAD, for the drawing, we run with AutoCAD 2000 up to 2016, and very soon 2017. So we are Autodesk developers, but also not just plain AutoCAD. We can run with verticals such as AutoCAD P&ID. So our software runs with that. For the operating system, we run with all of the latest Windows, XP, Vista, 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, 32-bit, 64-bit systems. For the database, you can run with Microsoft Access or SQL Server. SQL Server 2000 or later. You can run with SQL Express as well.
네, 답변 드리도록 하겠습니다. 요구되는 시스템으로는 오토캐드는 2000년 버전부터 2016 버전까지 현재 나와 있고요. 2017 버전은 지원 예정이라고 합니다. 추후 업데이트될 예정이고요. 네, 그리고 운영체제는 윈도우즈 XP, 비스타 7, 8, 그리고 10을 지원합니다. 운영체제 비트 수는 32비트와 64비트를 모두 지원한다고 합니다. 쓰이고 있는 데이터베이스 엔진은 마이크로소프트 액세스와 마이크로소프트 SQL 서버 2000 버전 또는 그 이후 버전을 모두 지원합니다. 그리고 SQL 익스프레스 버전을 지원한다고 합니다.
네, 감사합니다. 시간 관계상 Q&A 세션은 여기서 마치도록 하겠습니다. 미해결된 질문의 답변은 추후 정리하여 제공하여 드리겠습니다. 화면에 보이는 바와 같이 설문조사 이벤트와 최대 50% 할인 이벤트를 진행하고 있으니 많은 참여 부탁드립니다. 지금까지 경청해 주셔서 대단히 감사드립니다. 그럼 EDS 웨비나 행사를 마치도록 하겠습니다. 지금까지 스카다 시스템스의 공인 파트너사 제이텍솔루션 이혜진이었습니다. 감사합니다. Thank you for joining us, Andy.
Thank you very much, everybody.